Stand by to launch FanStream Sports.
3, 2, 1. Let's start.
Hello, sports fans. Welcome to FanStream Sports. Nothing but pure sports. This is the JP Show.
JP, it is so good to hear you back on the air.
Stand by. Now, here's JP.
All righty then. We got a good one going already. We got trash talk happening in this incredible divisional game coming up with the Bucs and the Lions. Oh, that's great. And Baker's handling it like Baker should. We got all the information you need on Bucs and Lions coming up. We'll get to that. All the sound with Todd Bowles and Baker Mayfield. Say good morning to you, Tim Ham, and our DSP affiliate in Dallas, where they're bringing back the man, and the Cowboy Nation is in revolt. And I know you're so excited. It's backwards hat day, by the way.
Yeah, we had
guys wearing backwards hats today. We're going to piss off Colin Cowherd just for fun.
Oh, my God.
What's up, partner? How are you?
Any day I can piss off Colin Cowherd's a good day for me, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Man, things are going great in Dallas, except over there at the Star in Frisco, which is literally a stone's throw that way from my house. Yeah. But, we were prepping our show last night, the Colby Sapp and IndyCar Tim show, here on FanStream Sports, Mondays and Wednesdays,
great
7 to 9 Central Time. And the news came down about McCarthy, I think, 6 minutes before airtime.
Yeah.
We scrapped the first 40 minutes of our run sheet.
I bet you did.
And it was all McCarthy and all Cowboys, and it was not a fun episode. My partner, Colby Sapp, maybe the biggest Cowboys homer fan that I've ever met.
Yes, he
and
is.
It's a good thing that big old broadcast table we have in the studio weighs about 1,000 pounds, because he was ready to flip it. I mean, it's bad.
I don't think necessarily Belichick is the answer, but when you look at who's out there right now, I mean, you can, and I'm not saying all these guys are available, but it's incredible that you think about this, that Bill Belichick doesn't have a job. Mike Vrabel doesn't have a job. Mike Tomlin may very well be on the market. We don't know, but we don't think so. But he could be.
Says he's
for the right price. Yeah, says he's saying, but for the right price, you never know. Nick Saban doesn't have a job. Pete Carroll doesn't have a job. I mean, there's a lot of guys out there with some chops that don't have jobs, which is interesting. And again, I'm not saying they need to go get. There's a lot of people that would be interested in that Cowboys job. A lot of people. A lot of good people.
Here's the thing about McCarthy is he's got 1 year left on his contract, right? Which, whatever, I get. Jerry loves to honor those contracts, right? He never technically fired Jason Garrett.
Mm-hmm.
He never fired Jason Garrett. He just quietly let his contract expire.
Yeah.
And then said, okay, you probably need to get out of the Star, empty your office and go home. But he never fired him. Yeah. And if this happens with McCarthy, if that's how he handles this, my biggest thing, as I talked about on our show last night, these guys aren't going to be available next year when McCarthy's gone, when his contract expires. We're not going to have Ron Rivera. We're not going to have Bill Belichick, Pete Carroll, Mike Vrabel, all the guys that you just talked about, Jim Harbaugh.
Forgot to mention him, the national champion.
Yes. You know what? And hey, by the way, Jerry Jones, the last time you went and hired the coach that had just won the national championship, he got you 3 Super Bowls.
Yeah. This just then. Yeah. And don't say Jim Harbaugh is not always with the Chargers and Atlanta. If Jerry Jones wanted Jim Harbaugh, he's got enough money to make that happen in a heartbeat. Just get him on the plane and get him into Dallas, and don't let him leave until he fills out the number. I mean, you can do whatever you want, and you imagine the juice that would put into the fan base. Do you imagine the juice that would put into your team? My God. It's funny. And James already popped in and said, Nick Saban, what's he doing? And I'd heard that one of the reasons that he retired is his wife isn't in great health. So I don't think he would go to the NFL. But with all these openings, if you're an NFL owner, you could do worse than Nick Saban. You could do worse than Nick Saban. There's no doubt about that. And it would be interesting. This is just kind of a talking point because I don't think he's interested in going to the NFL. But he said all the shenanigans going on in college football are just too much for him to keep up with at his age. Mm-hmm. But in the NFL, it's much more focused. You don't have to worry about all this stuff. You got a GM. Yeah. You got tons of scouts. You got all the support staff to handle all the player acquisition, which is probably about 90% of his workload, player acquisition and retention. Sure. You could just concentrate on coaching. And I think more, I don't, Nick Saban 10 years ago didn't work in the NFL. I get that. But now, damn, half the players in the NFL he's coached. He just go grab a lot of his players
and recruited. Yeah.
So it's kind of a worthless discussion. But like I said, you could do worse than Nick Saban for a couple of years in Dallas. Kevin McCarthy, I'm not close enough to it. You're much better, much more knowledgeable than I. I mean, I can look at it and say the guy can win games. To me, that game, I don't know why Dak Prescott is escaping so much fault. Why is the head coach?
Yeah, he's not escaping anything here.
Yeah, to me, that was on Dak. Dak was throwing. I don't know where the hell Dak was throwing the football. He and CeeDee Lamb, but Dak was not seeing the field. I don't care what your game plan is. If your quarterback is peeing down his leg, you got no shot. Now the defense completely melted down as well, but that probably had something to do with pick sixes. So I don't know. I mean, would you put more of the blame on Dak or McCarthy?
McCarthy. I put. If you want to break it down, I would put 80% of the blame on this on McCarthy because he is the head coach. And regardless of how Dak performed, and he didn't perform well, obviously, he had maybe his worst game of the season in the most important game of the season.
Right.
Which, by the way, wasn't the first time this has happened with Dak.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Dan Quinn did not have his defense ready. And I don't understand. I've lost all faith in Dan Quinn.
Me too. I was touting him earlier this season. I'm like, no.
We all were. He used to be the next head coach of the Cow. Dude, I don't know what that game plan was. And, I don't want to turn the show into Cowboys discussion or anything. But JP, they ran 54 defensive plays. 48 of those 54 defensive plays, they had 6 defensive backs.
Yeah.
Dan Quinn knew going into this game he was going to get a heavy dose of Aaron Jones.
Yeah.
You're not stopping the run with 6 defensive backs.
No,
by the way, they're already undersized because you already have a small defense.
And by the way, they threw all over you as well.
And the 6
guys were running wide open everywhere. Yeah.
That you were, for some ungodly reason, running zone defense that you haven't done all year. You're a man team.
Yeah.
Dude, it was just everything was wrong. CeeDee Lamb, I think Dak Prescott might have slept with CeeDee Lamb's wife or something.
Yeah.
They weren't even speaking, man. They were
they're
best friends, and dude, they were chirping at each other the entire game.
Yeah, that was weird. There was some weird dynamic going on. Also, all that tells me, why am I blaming the head coach? But anyway, we're not going to do the Dallas thing. We'll do that later on.
The head coach is ultimately responsible. That's why I place most of the blame on him.
Yeah, true. Absolutely. All right. Great show today. Dan Lucas from News Channel 8 is going to join us. He sat down with Todd Bowles one-on-one on Tuesday and has some interesting anecdotes from that conversation. And at 11 o'clock, Anthony Beck's going to join us, former Buccaneer, head coach of the St. Louis Battlehawks and father of Rocco Beck, the Big 12 Rookie of the Year. So congratulations to him and congratulations to the Becks. And always fun to talk with Anthony. And we'll talk some Bucs Lions as well with him. So we got a great show coming to you. So sit back, relax, and enjoy it. Brought to you by all our great sponsors. We'll tell you about them later on. I got to get this out there. That's it before we get into Baker and the trash talk from CJ Gardner-Johnson. Do you know how my phone has been blowing up for the past 2 days? And you know what it's about? Who was the reporter that asked the question in the press conference? You know the question I'm talking about. Did you not hear this, Tim?
Probably not.
A reporter asked a question about the weather in Detroit. It's 13 degrees. How are you going to handle the weather playing in this?
Are you serious?
Oh, no. And it was a long, well-worded question. Very eloquent.
Very well thought out.
Very well thought out. Like, this was well thought out, well beforehand. And the funny part about it is her identity is being kept secret, like it is a nuclear code.
Thank God for her.
Thank God for her.
Oh, my God.
Yes. Man. Yes. And I've seen her a few times, and she seems like a very, very nice lady. Very, very nice lady. But was somewhat not unassuming the other day. I was told she came in, sat in the front row, which is, protocol, as you know, for the beat writers, right? And the beat writers, typically you give them deference. I'm not a beat writer. I'm not there as often as Greg Allman and Rick Stroud and the Pewter Report guys and all those guys. So they sit up front, and they ask the first questions. If there's a lull, if they're not on their toes, I will jump in there. But then again, I've been covering this team for 27 years. So I think I do have a little bit of gravitas, but I always give deference to those guys because they're working the beat and that's their thing. But be on your game or I'm coming in. And they don't mind that. I mean, I've been there. So I don't think. But anyway, so she sat in the front row and right off the top, took over the press conference. And that's anti-protocol. I'm not saying you can't come in there and do it, but that's not the way. And this is not like good old boys network or anything like that. That's every NFL, every major college. That's just the way that's the protocols, right? You follow the protocols, part of the job. And anyway, she didn't do that. And she asked, and even after that embarrassing question, she came back and asked another one, which is mind-boggling. Self-awareness, want to get away. So, but this is all what people want. I'm getting texts from people I haven't heard from in years. Who was it? Who was it? Yeah. And I don't know. Like, I don't know her name. I don't know her. And not that it matters. We don't need to dox anybody. She doesn't need to be, she doesn't need to be any more embarrassed than maybe she is, but it's fascinating how many people, and I've had a couple of female reporters text me and say, oh, this is so embarrassing for female reporters. And, and for Tampa Bay media, we're being embarrassed. Like people are, oh, Tampa Bay media, that's just Tampa Bay media. They're stupid. They're soft, blah, 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 blah. So it doesn't reflect well on anybody. And it's a major crap storm. But it's just funny with this, so much at stake in this playoff game. This is an unbelievable story that the Buccaneers are. This is what I'm getting texted about. Like, nobody wants to know, hey, what's Bowles going to do against Amon-Ra St. Brown? No, it's like, who asked the question? The fact that it's being kept so secret is, it is what it is.
I would like to know who she is, not to, make fun of her or anything. I would like to find her work and maybe read her work to see how just off kilter it all is.
I see it's one of these things where gotta be very careful about what we say. It's one of these things where certain people are allowed deference to come in. I don't know, as I said, I've seen her in many of the press conferences, many being post game. She's not a usual reporter. But not a sports reporter from any of the major outlets that we know of. I think it might be a website. Nobody really knows what outlet she works for. I'd heard it's FNN, but I don't think that's it. So nobody really knows, and it's weird. It's just weird. It's one of the weird things that this is. But it's the times we live in. And listen, I've been talking about this for a long time. There's a lot of people, male, female, yellow, red, black, green, that get credentials that should not have credentials. And that's not on the PR staff. This happens everywhere.
Yeah.
It happens everywhere. It's not just Bucks. It's everywhere. And it's not just reporters, folks. There are people that are not trained for the jobs they are doing or not competent in the jobs they are doing, but this is the world we live in right now. And it's, if you're a reporter, nobody's getting hurt, nobody's dying, nobody, it's not that big a deal. In the end, it's not that big a deal. Nobody died, but in some other professions, it might be a little bit more important.
Dude. Yeah.
So yeah, anyway, but it's weird that is like that. Everyone who yeah. It's crazy. Go. It's all over the web. It's on my timeline. So you can go check it out. All right, so Baker Mayfield, this is great. This is fantastic because, this is just like, thank you, CJ Gardner-Johnson, you knucklehead. Thank you for just taking the absolute perfect grade premium fuel that Baker Mayfield uses to fuel himself and just dumping it on the fire like gas, like tank after tank. This was, if you needed to light, I was watching Sterling Sharp this morning on the Carton Show, who played with Baker at Oklahoma, or not Sterling Sharp, Sterling Shepard. And he said, and he just exactly what he said. He goes, man, that's the worst. That's not the dude you want to go after. Like, you have just lit his fire. Not that it needed to be lit, but you really lit it now. You just uber lit this fire because this is what Baker Mayfield thrives on. And he was talking about the Bucs receivers, who, of course, he played a lot when he played for the Saints. And, he said, it's a really good group. And he mentioned Russell Gage, who hasn't played all year long. And he said, if they only had a good quarterback, it'd be great. If they only had a good quarterback. I'm like, oh, yeah. So I don't know if you have the actual clip.
I've been looking for it. I can't
It's on
find
my
it.
timeline. Okay, so we'll just go through the Baker press conference. It comes up in the middle of the Baker press conference. So we'll just play into the Baker press conference, and we'll stop it down as we go and talk about certain things, because it's really revealing in a lot of different ways. So let's listen into Baker Mayfield as he addresses the media yesterday about the playoff game. Here we go.
How are you feeling today?
A little sore. Quick Wednesday turnarounds, but walk through. We've been on a good schedule, so just like everybody else, just recovering and get down to the game plan, do the mental work, and get your body ready.
Short week doesn't help.
Standards, do you feel good?
By Wednesday standards, yeah, didn't take too many hits. Feel pretty good.
Really didn't.
I mean, it was a physical game, but for the most part, we came out all right.
That wasn't your first playoff game, but how much fun has this whole ride been with this team this year?
It's been great. Obviously, backs against the wall, kind of like I mentioned after the game. Just the stretch and the run that we had to go on, it makes it even more enjoyable to get to the point that we're at right now. But like I mentioned as well, we're happy, but we're not satisfied. Got bigger goals, and so got to keep working.
I'm not sure if you saw or not, but the trash pack has already started. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson said this would be a good Bucs group if they had a starting quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
What are you going to say about that?
I don't think he's really watched film because he mentioned Russell Gage. We love Russell, but Russell hasn't played a snap all year for us. He must be going off the preseason stuff that the media was talking about, but he didn't play our first game, so I'm excited to see him. I think he's a really good player. He has been for a while, and he's been an impactful guy on every team he's been on. So he's a good player, but yeah, he's got to do a little bit more film study.
All right, let's pause it right there. Nice Rice retort. That was perfect. Little passive aggressive, very nicely done, Baker. Don't come out firing with both pistols, right? Don't need to do that.
Right.
Still passive aggressive. Yeah, he probably didn't watch a whole lot of film. Needs a little bit of film study. Russell Gage doesn't really play any for us. You might want to look at that Trey Palmer guy, but don't. It didn't even mention him. He literally has not watched any tape of this team. Like,
God, I love Baker Mayfield.
Yeah. And that was just like a perfect measured response. Like, okay.
I mean, what? Watching him in press conferences, I've been doing your show and I watch all of it. You know what, dude? He's gonna make a badass head coach one day.
Yeah,
if that's the route he decides to take, man,
he could. Yeah. What's his comp for it? What would his comp be for a head coach? Because there hasn't been many successful quarterbacks that became head coaches.
No.
I mean, I'm like trying to think of one. Has there? None. Like, there's never been a successful NFL quarterback. Not Jason Garrett.
Well, we're talking about a successful head coach, though.
Right. And certainly, like, totally different temperaments there. Like, completely different temperaments there. There really is no comp for that. That I can even think of.
Mike,
because there's not many former players that have become good coaches. Mike Vrabel.
Mike McDaniel's temperament is kind of like that at the podium.
Yeah, little cocky,
a little snooty and cocky. Yeah.
That might be but totally different background, obviously.
Sure.
Like his comp to me would be Mike Vrabel.
Or Vrabel,
even though it's just the fact he's a former player. They play different positions, obviously, but just kind of a confident. Dan Campbell.
There you go. Yeah.
With the Lions, former player that's just fired up, hard nosed, come get it type guy. Yeah. Very. By the way, Dan Campbell, I put that on my Twitter as well. We'll play that a little bit later on, Tim. We'll find it. He had some very nice things to say about Baker Mayfield. So, but this, Gardner Johnson, who's a cheap shot artist and a talker, but you can guarantee that the Bucs are going to target him. And we talked about this a little bit yesterday with Trevor Sikkema. And I think this is right. I think this game comes down to the defense, the receivers versus defensive backs. I think everything else kind of cancels itself out a little bit. But to me, I think, and I hope and pray the Buccaneers are going to stay aggressive and they're going to blitz Jared Goff. Now, obviously, this is a different deal than blitzing the Eagles the way they did, and against a quarterback in Jalen Hurts who wasn't prepared for it. Is not great at it, and his coaches really didn't give him any outs whatsoever, hot routes or anything. Right. Very bizarre game plan by Philadelphia not to have answers when they knew the blitz was coming. Whatever, that's their problem. But the Lions will Ben Johnson will have them ready, and they'll have answers for all of that stuff. But it just comes down to covering. You're going to get the pressure. You're going to get the pressure because the Bucs are really good at it, and they send more than you can block in most cases. So Goff is going to have to get rid of it in hot routes. So can your cover guys, can CD3, Jamel Dean, Isaiah McCollum, can those guys hold up in those first 3, 4, 5 steps in press man coverage, and Goff's going to have to deliver a good ball, because that's it. Accuracy, being on time and in phase with your receivers is the way you beat the blitz. And of course, recognizing when it's coming and where it's coming from. It can be easy at time if you have the right elements, and the Lions have the right elements. They have a quarterback who's experienced, he's accurate, and he has great receivers. It's definitely not a recipe to blitz a guy, to be quite honest. But if you sit back, he'll carve you up as well. So it's either play to your strengths or play to your weaknesses and get carved up. To me, it's get after them. Yes, they're going to beat you on a few plays. They're going to make plays. They're going to have some shots, no question about it. But if you can get a couple of turnovers, you can get a sack fumble, and Goff has been known to cough the ball up now. You get some pressure on him, he will throw picks and he will cough it up. So he's known to do that. Now he'll have some success, but you'll trade that off. If you can get 5 sacks and hit the quarterback and affect him, get him off his game, get a couple of turnovers, maybe 2, 3 turnovers, you'll give up a couple of big plays, maybe 1 big touchdown pass to get those others. And I think that's the way you have to play. And vice versa. I think Hutchinson, they haven't had a great pass rush. The Lions have not had a great pass rush. But if Baker Mayfield stays aggressive, they're with the group that he has at receivers and the emerging players that he has, Cade Otton. Obviously, the Lions are going to have to look at that tape and go, we gotta pay attention to him. We can't just double Godwin and Evans and Trey Palmer. This is what happens when you turn on the Jets like that. And by the way, Trey Palmer has been getting behind defenses all year long. All year long, Baker hasn't really connected with him. It's about time they do that. But as a defensive coordinator, you look at that tape and you're like, when 10's on the field, I need a guy over there that can run with him. So that takes one of your guys away from one of the others. So even though he hasn't hit the big shot to TP just yet or consistently, it's a threat now, especially with what he did after the catch the other day. So these are things that if you're the Lions defensive coordinator and that staff, you're looking at. Now, for Baker Mayfield, it's all about being accurate, making those throws downfield. And this is something that really bothered me about last game, because I think it's something that Baker does not do well enough. His deep ball is way too flat. It's way too flat. It doesn't allow the receiver to adjust to the ball, because Mike Evans has been running 2 and 3 yards behind people. But when the ball is flat and it's overthrown, he's got no chance. You can't get to the ball. Now, when there's more arc on the ball, then the receiver has a chance to adjust his route and his body to the ball, like Godwin did on the last one that he caught. That was a badly underthrown ball, but it was high enough in the air. In one-on-one coverage, the defensive back has to find it as well, and his back is to the ball. And what was different about that one is he didn't overthrow him. He underthrew him. But Chris came back to the ball and made an easy catch because the defensive back got lost. You give if in a one-on-one situation, if you give Godwin and Evans an opportunity to catch the ball, you can't throw it over their head. And same thing with Trey Palmer. Don't throw it over his head. Let him at least compete for the ball. Give it a little bit more air. And he did that on that last throw, and I think it gives him a better chance to complete those balls. And I'm talking about ones where it's cover zero or cover or single safety. Now, if you got 2 safeties, you obviously can't loft the ball up. The safety will get over and make the play. But in these plays where he's behind the defense and there is no safety, or running to an open area where there's no safety on the other side, air under the ball. Let the guys adjust to it, and you have a much better chance for completion. And he did that on the last one. I'm sure Dave Canales and Thad Lewis, they're coaching him up on this, but I don't know if that's his style or whatever, but I think they can definitely improve in that manner. So we'll see. But I think the team that's going to win this game is the team that is accurate, makes the catches. You can't have 6 drops, boys. We can't be dropping six balls and 2 touchdown passes. That's not going to get it done against the Lions. The Eagles were terrible. Mm-hmm. It was fine. But against the Lions, you're not going to get that many shots, and you're going to have to score points. You're going to have to put up, I would say, at least 28 points to win this game. because the Lions are good. They have a tremendous offense all the way around. So it should be a fantastic game. But I think those to me are the keys. How do you see it, Tim?
No, I think you just hit the nail on the head. This, I'm probably not going to make my picks on the game until later in the week, but I don't think that the Bucs offense is going to have nearly as much trouble with the Lions defense as a lot of people think they will. I saw a lot of good things. Now Baker's going to have one of the games of his life, right? Baker can't be the off inconsistent Baker that we've seen at times throughout the year at all. He's going to have to be accurate and he's going to have to make the right reads. But man, I just think and especially the way Evans is playing right now, right? And I don't think Evans had his best game against the Eagles
awful.
either. Yeah, no, it was awful. It all, and he's going to have a better game. I didn't like his routes. I didn't like a lot of the routes that he ran, and you kind of touched on the routes and why those are important. But especially those routes, that you were talking about across the middle. And I don't know how they practice that. It just seems like that Baker misses a lot of those.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's because the receivers are running inconsistent routes and he's not seeing the same route from the receiver every time, or if Baker's just missing it every time.
Yeah. I think the middle throws are a little harder for him because of his height. I think there's probably
the line. Yeah.
He can't see as well. So I think that affects his accuracy.
And that's why you roll him out sometimes in situations like that.
So you get him some throwing lanes. Absolutely.
Yeah. It's just, but that's how I see it.
Let's hit a quick break. Dan Lucas is going to join us now. We got to get one quick break in. We are brought to you by the Jeeves Law Group, JEEVES lawgroup.com. They are local and they have offices in St. Pete and in Tampa. And Scott Jeeves is probably there right now listening to the program. They're probably working on your case. They will get you a great settlement or they will take it to trial and get a big award. That's the Jeeves Law Group. Back in 3. Stay with us. Are you tired of those stuffy, overpriced sports bars? Well, come join the fun at the Patio in South Tampa and watch your favorite football teams under the stars in a tropical paradise. Yeah, it's a unique setting with huge wood decks beneath the trees, and don't worry, they have an inside AC bar with all your favorite bar games as well. The Patio has all the NFL and UFC sports packages, and it's home to the Tampa Gator Club and Bills Mafia, but all fans are welcome at any time. Hey, my FSU buddies love to watch the Noles at the Patio. It's also home to a great happy hour. Weekdays get $4 White Claw vodka drinks and $4 White Claw seltzers, $1 off all beer and wine from 3 to 7:30. And every Friday happy hour, join us for Football Friday. It's our live broadcast from 5 to 7 with tons of specials and the fan mic for you to join the show. We'll have swag and ticket giveaways as well. So come out for the live broadcast 5 to 7 every Friday at the Patio and come watch football in a tropical paradise all season long. It's 421 South McDill, just a few blocks south of Kennedy. Everyone meets at the Patio. Hey guys, are you experiencing those feelings of getting older, lower sex drive, fatigue, hot flashes, moodiness, or you just don't feel like you had the vitality you once had? It's a chronic problem here in the United States. You're not just getting old, it's likely low testosterone. Studies over the last 20 years show a shocking decline in younger males aged 16 to 39. Older men have seen a sharp decline as well, so do something about it. Go see my friend Christopher Lugo at Bay Area Modern Medicine. Look, testosterone replacement is not a frivolous treatment. It takes a professional, targeted approach that focuses on total body wellness, vitality, and emotional stability, not a one-size-fits-all approach like many clinics use. They will monitor your blood work and adjust your treatment as needed for optimal results. Folks, I've been on testosterone therapy for over 6 years, and it is a life changer. You will feel and look better than you did 10 years ago. Give them a call at 844-977-3477 or go to BAMMC.com. Tell them JP sent you for priority scheduling. That's 844-977-3477 or BAMMC.com. JP here for the Geddes Gordon Real Estate Group and our good friend Jane Geddes. Folks, simply put, there is nobody like Jane. Jane is a former LPGA two-time major championship winner. She was also vice president of talent relations at WWE. She also has a law degree from Stetson. So if Jane can drain a 10-footer to win the U.S. Open and stare down Hulk Hogan in the boardroom, You want Jane on your real estate team to not only negotiate the best deal, but find you the perfect home or investment property. And when you work with the Geddes Gordon Group, you become part of the real estate family and get concierge services that include expertly staging, marketing, and preparing your home for sale. Advice on golf properties. Hey, you might even get some golf tips. Many of their clients become friends long after the sale or purchase is completed. It's all part of the deal. So if you're looking for that perfect home or investment property or trying to get top dollar for your home, go with Jane Geddes and the Geddes Gordon Group because there's nobody like Jane. Call 813-485-6808 or go to geddesgordon.kw.com. That's GEDDES Gordon.kw.com or call 813-485-6808.
Coming back at you. Now, more with JP on FanStream Sports. It's only just begun.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show, brought to you by Synovus Bank, the big bank with the very, very local feel. Go on in and find out for yourself. Ask for my good friend John Acosta, big fan of the program, synovusbank.com. Find your local branch and go on over there and tell them JP sent you. All right, let's bring in our good friend Dan Lucas from News Channel 8, the man who gets to sit down with Todd Bowles each and every week for his one-on-one interview. Oh, what's up, Dano? How are you? Hair's looking good. Get a fresh cut? Yeah, baby.
Oh, dude. This past weekend, Senorita Luisa, and she also makes tamales. She got me some tamales.
You get a buzz cut and a tamale? Well,
I had three of them. You slap a little hot sauce on there. I'm telling you, man, it's better than any food truck.
What a great marketing ploy that is. Get a haircut and a fresh tamale from what's her name, Luisa?
Luisa, yeah, she's tremendous. She also she's moonlighting at the Sport Clips over on Gun Highway and Citrus Park too.
She does a nice job.
That's the side gig. I tell her, I'm like, you should be running that place. She's like, no, I should not.
Yeah,
she doesn't want to deal with those people.
Yeah, just run your own gig. Absolutely. Love it. All right, you're looking fresh. So is Todd Bowles. Everybody wants to know the question, Dan. Like, nobody cares about the cover two. Nobody cares about, what's going on with the injuries. They want to know who asked the question. Who asked the question in the press conference? That's all people want to know. I don't know about your phone, but I'm getting like every media operator like, who was it? Who was? Like, I don't know. I don't know.
I'll tell you what. I was in the room, and it was not it was about probably less than a dozen people in there, but
cringeworthy
and then you had Bucs employees in there. I've seen some awkward things in my day. I once asked a question to a coach named Bruce Parkhill at Penn State. He was the basketball coach at the time, and he didn't like the question. He got up and walked out, and it was like a life lesson, right? So everybody looked. So the SID looked at me and goes, just in case you didn't know, Dan, you hit a nerve. I go, okay, thank you for that. Sorry, everybody, but I was not. It was so long ago, 1990, whatever. Yeah. That it was not all over the Twitter sphere and the atmosphere like this poor young lady had to endure. Now, I don't know her name personally. I've seen her a few times. She's not a local TV reporter. She's not a local writer. She's doing some type of, I think, blogging or something, and she's not, a radio host. So it's not. Everybody had to come up with theories on what this was, and I didn't really weigh in on it because I didn't want to get involved.
Exactly.
But she came in. She's a good, pleasant person. She just made a mistake. Yeah. She came in, sat down in the wrong seat to start things off. Someone else's seat.
That's right.
There's an etiquette at press conferences.
There is. There's a protocol. Beat writers up front. The rest of you people in the back.
There's unwritten rules for all you kids that are getting into this industry. They're not written. You learn, but when you first get into, if you're a little bit out of your element, these things, it would be like me going to some political press conference today.
Right. Going to the White House press room and plopping your ass down right in front. No,
in the front and firing off the first question before the president's at the podium. Well, so just kind of hang in the back, get the lay of the land. But she did not. She went in there, went right into it. So it was just awkward from the beginning. And then I thought halfway through the question on the weather that she started to reel herself in a little bit because she did use the word indoors.
Right.
But I don't think she she didn't bring it back in. She left it there for him. And the look on his face was, as he explained it to me after, he said, I didn't know what to do. I thought I was being pranked.
You thought he was being pranked?
So I thought he absolutely handled it.
He did.
Like a pro.
Yes, he did.
He conducted himself well, but I think he accommodated her question, even though it was from left field and incorrect. The problem I'm having is you've done it. I gave you my story.
Yeah. We've all asked dumb questions.
This girl
not that dumb, but dumb.
Yeah, that was
not that
it was
dumb.
bad. It was bad.
It was bad.
But something that I would hope that she could get through. What bothers me is the nonstop ridicule and that's coming from it. So I hope she bounces back and does well. And I'm presuming something was said after, but maybe moving forward, it'll go swimmingly for her. So we'll see. But the problem.
Can you imagine? Let me just ask you. Can you imagine if that was John Gruden? Bill Belichick.
I don't know how he would have reacted. I'll tell you. In my guess on Gruden, I guess he would have given that funny stare, right? Which would be all over the internet. But I bet you he would have danced around a little bit and helped her out a bit. I bet you.
Yeah.
I'll bet you on that.
Maybe.
But,
maybe. Belichick would have been, game's going to be inside, right?
Yeah, we do walk. We walk from the bus to the stadium. If it's 30 feet, that'll be pretty chilly.
Probably.
Yes.
Not
but
here's
the fallout. The fallout is that everybody, the columnists are saying the Tampa Bay media doesn't.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's the problem.
That's bad.
Now, so
and I got a couple messages from female radio hosts and female reporters were like, "God, it makes us look so bad." I'm like, yeah, I know. It does.
Well,
it makes Tampa media look bad and makes female reporters look bad. It shouldn't. I mean, it's an isolated incident, but I'm just amazed at how much attention it's getting. And here we are just putting gas on the fire.
it was pretty outlandish, but
yeah.
Just to I've seen a lot of national people are saying, listen, guys, this is how it works in local markets. They send general assignment reporters in.
That's true.
Which is true. Mm-hmm. However, this was not the case. This was not a report because I had, I had people sending me headshots of news reporters from. Is it her?
I know. It's like, what are we doing? It's like
it wasn't.
It's like a manhunt going on.
Care? What do
Wanted.
You care? No. No, it was not. It was not one of our many local reporters from the TV stations and all that stuff. So
no. All right, let's move on. Let's move on.
It was weird.
Cringeworthy scale 12. All right, we move on. All right, so what is your vibe from Todd Bowles? Because I just like he's feeling himself right now. This dude is like, I think he just said once they got into the playoffs, F it. You know what? We're coming after them. We're gonna play balls to the wall on offense and defense. I don't care. I'm playing with house money. I'm gonna come up with the craziest stuff I can think of and see if it works. And it all fit. And it fit perfectly because of what they were facing to stop the run. Let's use a 6-man front with an extra defensive lineman. Okay, what a great idea. Let's play man-to-man behind it. Let's send the house every chance we get. Worked tremendously well. What are your thoughts?
I think that Todd Bowles, he's got a bounce, and I love it. I love seeing it. Because throughout even the hard times during the regular season, he'd walk in there. After bad losses, after the Houston game, he came in on Monday, and before we turn on the cameras, we sit there and we just kind of, chat for a little bit. And he's just, we talk about funny stuff, family stuff, and he was himself in that sense. But when it came time to talk football, it felt like a guy that was, just didn't have the answers. But I'll tell you this, I got the sense, and it really started in the middle of October when that Lions game was here.
Yeah.
That he kind of felt like, you know what, I'm a smart guy. I've been around this league. I'm not stupid. I know I'm pretty much, in the crosshairs right now. So if I'm going to go down, I'm going to go down
swinging.
Going to go down this way. And you know what? We see the videos in the locker rooms. He had his players back the whole time.
Yeah, he did.
And those guys and players will want to play for that kind of a coach, and each one as an individual wants to play for Todd Bowles. So I think it was going to get Dave Canales some time to get things figured out for him. He literally was learning on the fly. Still is.
Yeah.
And defensively, Todd Bowles knew we got to step up. And like you're saying, we've got to do something to give our team a chance until this offense can find a way to catch up.
I think
sometimes that's what he's doing.
Yeah, and sometimes you look at these outlying performances and you go, where the hell did that come from? And because you look at the Saints game and then you look at this game and you're like, why that wasn't even the same team, same coaching staff like ever. So that one is a little weird because they were on a roll. In the Carolina game, your quarterback's banged up. You're just going to hold on for dear life and not make a stupid mistake and just win the game. And that's what they did. So, it is what it is. But the Saints game was weird. But now you look at what they did last week and you say, okay, he finally got personnel right. Like he got KJ Britt way more snaps than Devin White and put Devin White in situations where he wasn't going to kill him. In crucial situations, other teams take advantage of his lack of discipline. Great. We've been talking about this for a long time. Get him off the field or let him do what he does best, rush the passer. That's it. Keep it simple for that guy. He's a great athlete, but he doesn't really have it when it comes to football IQ. So get KJ Britton. Here's your best thumper. And they go from 200 yards rushing to 42. And then we get Zion McCollum in there. Play more man. Play more press man. Come with the blitz. This is what your team does best. And he's figured out what his team does best, what they don't do well, zone defense. Stay away from that. Right. And, he's got the Yaya Diaby is playing now. Zion McCollum, as I mentioned, your Kalijah Kancey is a better player now, a way better player. So the players are getting better. They're in the right spots. He's coaching aggressively. And on the offensive side, you're seeing Dave Canales kind of find his stride as well. So this is kind of a natural progression. It's not as crazy as you think. This is just the best version of the Bucs because it's time. Everything is met. It's time. And so it's not crazy to think that this is just a way better football team than we saw in the middle of the season, and they can do some damage. Is that a fair assessment?
I really like your example of Yaya Diaby because, he's finished with, 7.5 sacks, and, they rank him among the other defensive rookies, and you thought, I thought he'd be higher than that. Well, he didn't play. He didn't have the snaps those other guys had. What I like about Todd Bowles as a coach, particularly with his defensive personnel, is recognizing as guys are growing and maturing within a scheme or as players in this league and giving them a chance to flourish. And even to your point, because I know you've talked about Devin White all season long, whatever we want to say about him, put him in a position to succeed.
Right. No
matter what that role is, he is now punching the buttons on some of these guys, and Devin White included, and getting the most out of them. And I agree to your point. You got to give your defensive backs a chance as well because they are making individual plays. Guys like Antoine Winfield who's to me the face of the defense right now. For whatever reason, whenever somebody needs help, Winfield's there, and it's amazing. Even if it's a downfield tackle. So I think everything's just coming together. When the opponent gets to the red zone, they're tightening up. They're allowing big hits. That's the problem. But that's most teams. Don't you agree? I mean, most teams are getting these big passes. You watch all these games, but the Bucs are really doing a good job of keeping teams out of the end zone. And so that's the only shot they have this week is to try and keep this team out of the end zone as much as possible and not give up the big hitter like they did it's really just two big plays. In the last matchup, the St. Brown, the Amon Ra touchdown, St. Brown, and then they had a 24-yarder. It was a 44 or a 24. Yeah. 24, I think. And they were both wide open. And I believe it was Carlton Davis who was in the shot. We're like, this guy, he's screwing it up. And Bull says that's not even his role on that play. It's someone else who blew it at the beginning of the coverage. So all of this has come together, I think, at the right time. And I think it showed itself last week. I thought the Eagles, as banged up as they were, still were a force and a threat to win that game, even though the Philly fans were doom and gloom.
I didn't know which Philly team was going to show. I just thought since they bullied us in game one, they'd bully us in game two. It's the easiest thing to do. What I didn't count on was, Yaya Diaby, the 6-man front. I didn't count on that. I thought we'd see Devin White starting the game, playing 65 plays, getting blown out again, and then running for 200 yards. That was my expectation. That's what we did in the first game. But Todd fooled me. He was bold. he said, screw all that. Devin, I'm sitting you down, which I never thought he'd do. I never thought he would do it, but he did it. And we've been talking about
maybe he watches the show. Maybe he's watching the
show. maybe someone upstairs said, hey, man, enough's enough.
They're on the practice field right now as we speak. He's probably leaning over going, did you hear JP just now?
He finally gave me credit for doing something. I've been telling you to do it all year.
Right, exactly.
But I've said this. I could not be happier for the man. And I saw him after the game. He was coming out just by himself. And I said this yesterday. You'd think after a win like that, the dude would just be surrounded by friends, family, players everywhere he goes. He's just walking out with his briefcase out of the back, where the coaches are. The entire locker room had emptied. Somebody had a big party plan. So there's nobody around. And he's just kind of, that slow Todd Bowles walk that he's just walking. And I kind of should I pass him? Because I'm walking a lot faster than he is right now.
Yes,
and I said, yeah, whatever. As I walked by, I said, congratulations, coach. Awesome win. He's like, thanks. And he just had this shiz-eating grin on his face.
He knows. He knows.
Yeah, he does. Yeah. And I was just so happy for him, man. He's such a good dude. And I just wish, and I just hope he sticks with it, man. If he sticks with being this just like you explained, that was so great for you to explain it that way, because you see him that way, and they've turned that corner and just let it rip. And that's, gosh, it's, fortune favors the bold. And I hope he keeps it that way in Detroit, because you're playing with house money now, right? And I got to believe their sphincter's a little tight in Detroit, right? The Bucs are coming in, right?
I'll tell you this from the Lions perspective, and I think the Lions are a tremendous story.
Mm-hmm.
And the fans up there are crazy. I think it's awesome. The last time I saw that kind of atmosphere was during the hockey playoffs at the old Joe with the Red Wings fans, and they had the Lightning on the brink of elimination in 2015. And I thought, this is crazy, man. This place is a madhouse. Well, that's what Ford Field's going to be like. I've been in there 2 times. It's like a morgue. It's like this little. Yeah. It's like you're in some warehouse,
like Tropicana Field.
Right, exactly. But it is not that anymore, man. That place is rocking. I can't wait to see it like that. And then when you're a Bucs player, you hope to get off to a fast start and take that crowd out of it. That's awesome as the away team. That's why you love those games. So, but Bowles it was his body language for me. I mean, the way he sat in the chair back in October when things weren't going well, he was searching for the answers.
Yeah.
And he's been around. He's a veteran coach. He's not stupid. He's aware of the big picture. And I think he was aware that it was his butt. It was on the hot seat for sure.
Yeah.
And so, I remember little things like I asked him about Christmas, what you got planned, weeks in November. And he goes, I'm just trying to get to Christmas.
Yeah.
And so, and it's tongue in cheek, right? But it's things like that. You're like, this guy's thinking about it. He's thinking about it. But he hung in there, and the guys hung in there with him. So that's why this is fun to see.
It is fun to see
this guy on top of his game.
Yeah, I think the decibel level is 133, which is jet engine like, the loudest it's ever been last week against the Rams.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's and in fact, Baker reached out to some of his Rams teammates from last year and asked them, and he's like, "Yeah, that was the loudest we've ever heard any game." So, yeah, and it's a factor. There's no question about it. But they'll be ready for it. Be ready for it. They'll get a couple false start penalties. That's the home field advantage. You got to play through it. You just got to play through it. So they should be fun.
Yeah, I've always felt that when you're the team going into that environment, even if you're the favorite, no matter what you are, when you go into that environment, you have to simplify and keep things manageable until you even that out, the crowd noise and that kind of thing. That's why it's important to stay in the game. And John Cooper of the Lightning says this all the time. You got to withstand what's coming.
Yep.
And then eventually a game breaks out. And so the Bucs, if you get the ball first, for instance, I mean, try to score. They haven't done it yet as a touchdown on the opening drive. But if you can't, then put the Lions inside their own 10 with the punt. You can set yourself up for success and keep that crowd, as subdued as possible, because if the Lions strike quick and strike early, it's just going to turn into chaos, and that's hard to overcome as an away team.
And kind of a local flavor. You cover local high school as I did back in the day with Channel 8, and I love my high school football. It was so fun to do back in the day. But Brad Holmes, the general manager of the Lions, who's put this whole thing together and deserves incredible credit. The pride of Chamberlain
High, right?
Chamberlain High, yeah, the pride of Chamberlain High. And evidently, he was getting some pushback on his draft class that included Jahmyr Gibbs and Sam Laporta. They played pretty well last week. They certainly vindicated. And what he's done with that bold trade of Matthew Stafford, I mean, you want to talk about fortune favors the bold. You trade the greatest player in next to Barry Sanders probably in modern Lions history away. And what are you doing? Well, I just put together the first playoff team that has a good chance to go to the Super Bowl with Jared Goff and all the picks that he got for him and the poo they turned into. I mean, it's been a masterful job, and his star is shining bright. He's going to get his due over the next few weeks, as he well should. But I think it's very interesting that here comes Tampa Bay, probably the team he rooted for, I'm guessing, early on in his childhood as a kid, probably, over there at Raymond James Stadium, or maybe even the old Sombrero. He's 44 years old, so he's not that old. So that's a great story, too. I don't know if you've ever met him along the way.
I have not. That is Vision. I've become familiar with his story a little bit. He's a fascinating guy. Was an intern once in the Rams organization.
That's how he started.
He was a kid who wanted to just get into the football. He wanted to work in the NFL. I'm not even sure his goal was to be a GM, but he got in the communications department. He was setting up the press conferences. As an intern. That's not exactly leading a football team, but he got in, man, and he hung in there and paid his dues. So congratulations to him, and all the success in the world. I love it when the local guys get out there and represent the area and become something that's inspirational for other kids around here. But there's another GM in this weekend, Jason Light, who
done a hell of a job.
Is also a guy with vision, and I don't know what it's like to sit there with a big board in your office and have 2023, 2024, 2025, and have these red flags sitting in front of you to navigate the present day and keep one eye on 2 years from now. I don't know what that's got to be immense pressure for GMs, and he's done it. He's navigated it beautifully, and he hit the lotto with the Baker Mayfield signing because I'm telling you, I think that everybody was convinced in the last spring, that it was just going to be we're just going to have to eat it this year. And now they're in the divisional playoff. That's unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Hell of a draft class in the Baker Mayfield, which, and I think you would agree that you certainly want to extend him. And I think Baker's smart enough to know that even though he could go on the open market and maybe get some more money someplace else, he's smart enough to know that there's a lot of bad organizations out there and people you can't trust. He's been burned many, many times.
Yes.
So why not stay here where the people, they love you, you've earned it, the community loves him, he's responded to the community. It's a marriage made in heaven. His demeanor, that underdog, blue-collar mentality fits this city perfectly. It's the identity of the team now. I mean, it couldn't be a better marriage. And maybe you could go get some, a hotter girl, might be winking at you over the hill. But the one you're with is pretty hot too, and you know her and you love her. You better stay. Don't go chasing money. I think he's smart enough to do that, and that'll benefit both parties, right? Instead of taking 50, take 30. Leave some room for Mike Evans to get his extension and Antoine Winfield. I think it all comes together perfectly in the offseason. Agreed with kind of a bridge contract?
I think so. And they're going to have to make the numbers work because there's too many guys that are up, and there's too many free agents in the top, whatever percentage that is, where you've got it's kind of a pay scale if you go by the CBA. So they're stuck in some sense, and I still think there's going to be an odd man out. But as far as Baker Mayfield goes, two photos that I saw this week on social media of Baker Mayfield. One, you've probably seen them. One was him at Carolina Panthers practice on the scout team, hand in the dirt, like he was. I think it might have been he was playing the role of a defensive player, on the scout team at a practice. Somebody put a photo, and I thought to myself,
that's him.
You know what? He's willing to do that because that's the guy he is. But shame on you as an organization for putting him in that position. You guys are idiots. What a bunch of buffoons. And the other thing I saw was a post from his wife after the game the other night.
That was awesome.
Where her statement saying, "I haven't seen him smile like this." Man, I'm telling you, I don't care what you do, what your occupation is, when your spouse who's behind you all the way and deals with all the stuff behind the scenes we never
sees
see
it all.
When you're miserable, when you're doubting yourself, and to go out and say he is smiling again, that is powerful.
It is.
And so that tells me it's to your point that this guy is absolutely loving it right now. He's not just loving winning. He's loving going home. He's loving getting up. He's got the baby coming, the dog in the house. I mean, the guy's just loving it. And when you're in that position, dude,
don't screw it up.
Yeah.
He's smart enough. Yeah, he's smart enough, and that's why I think it comes together nicely for this team moving forward. So. It's what a blessing this season has been, and for all those who were like, "Oh, let's just tank it and get a draft pick," you would have missed out on a lot of good stuff. And this team is building back nicely. All right, Dano, tell us what's coming up on News Channel 8. Promote your content if you like.
We got a lot of stuff coming up this weekend. We're on for an hour from 7 to 8 tomorrow night, talking Bucs, and then from 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock on Sunday from Ford Field.
Yes.
Will be a special edition of Bucs Bonus and the guest list. We're working on the guest list. I'll say the name, but Tony Dungy might be joining us.
Nice.
And the Bucs Bonus show Sunday at 1. So we're standing by on that. Our friends at NBC are making it happen. So we have that for you guys.
Good. A local station doing a local show before the game, sending people up there. Bravo, News Channel 8. I know you're then getting me any extra personnel to work with, but anyway,
exactly.
Congratulations. That's awesome. And tell your bosses that's what we want. Empty the freaking coffers and the travel budget for the whole year. Ain't nothing else. Nobody cares about anything else. All right.
What's in it for us? We'll be tired.
Yes.
Won't feel great, but I'm going to have a Detroit pizza, one of those square.
A little deep dish. All right, there you go.
Pizza.
There you go.
So what? I'm looking forward to the environment on Sunday. And, man, if the Bucs win that game, man, I'm telling you, the national media is trying. They're giving the Bucs a little due, but the Lions are the darlings right now. And if the Bucs win that game, oh, my God, we could have people parachuting in for the press conference. We could have people asking about the weather at games. We could have a lot of stuff coming up if they win that game.
They'll be asking about the dome in San Francisco.
Right.
All right.
So the artificial surface at Levi Stadium.
Like, Candlestick Park is notoriously windy this time of year.
Right. Exactly.
All right, buddy. We'll see you later. Oh my God. That's what's happening. The great Dan Lucas. All right, we'll take a break. When we come back, Anthony Beck is going to join us. We'll talk to the head coach of the St. Louis Battlehawks and the papa of Rocco Beck. He'll also have some great information on this Bucs team because he follows it. I know he does. So we'll do that when we come back. We're brought to you by the great folks at American Mortgage Services. Scott Fitzgerald will find you the best mortgage. The smart people are getting back in the market now, folks, because the rates are coming down. When they hit 4, everybody's going to jump back in and prices are going to go crazy. So do it now. Get in while you still got a good selection. And by the way, if you need a realtor as well, the Geddes Gordon Group, Jane Geddes will hook you up. They are a fantastic group of realtors. They know the market, Tampa Bay market, like the back of their hand. You will become part of their family, the best in customer service. So our dynamic real estate duo, Scott Fitzgerald, get your mortgage done at American Mortgage Services, Scott at amstampa.com, and Jane Geddes will get you the right house and the right investments at the GeddesGordonGroup.com. Back in 3 with Anthony Beck. Stay with us.
JP here for the Jeeves Law Group, Jeeves. Call for a free case evaluation, 888-9-JEEVES. That's 888-9-JEEVES. We're local, we're trusted, The law firm brings over 80 years of combined legal experience focusing on clients in Tampa Bay, the state of Florida, and national class action cases. If you're injured, get that free case evaluation, no cost to you. The Jeeves Law Group's focus is on auto, truck, and motorcycle accidents, as well as class action and consumer protection law. Scott Jeeves is a board-certified civil trial lawyer and a certified circuit court mediator practicing in the Tampa Bay area for over 30 years. You hear him on the show all the time. Great guy, big Gator fan, and great for the community. The Jeeves Law Group is a highly skilled team with years of experience that will apply their skills, expertise, and knowledge to assist individuals who have been in an accident with compensation for damages, lost wages, medical expenses, pain and suffering, and property damage. Get that free case evaluation, 888-9-JEEVES. That's 888-9-JEEVES.
JP here for my good friends at Italiano Insurance, and they did it again. Once again, Italiano Insurance stepping up with the best customer service. I was in a bind. My old insurance company, my auto insurance, jacked up my rates, so I called Charity at Italiano Insurance, and she stayed till 9:30 at night until she got my insurance done. And guess what? She searched all these companies for me. I didn't do the work. She did. Saved me $1,000 on my annual premium. $1,000, folks. That's real money. And that's what you get at Italiano Insurance. Great customer service. And here's another note for you, by the way, with hurricane season up. 40% of people in Florida are underinsured. That means if you have something happen during a hurricane and you need replacement costs, you're going to get 40% less than you deserve. Can't let that happen. Call the folks at Italiano Insurance and get them to help you out in both those regards. They will save you money and keep you insured properly. That's 813-877-7799. Great folks in the community, been doing it for over 60 years. Italiano Insurance, 813-877-7799.
JP here for the Geddes Gordon Real Estate Group and our good friend Jane Geddes. Folks, simply put, there is nobody like Jane. Jane is a former LPGA two-time major championship winner. She was also vice president of talent relations at WWE. She also has a law degree from Stetson. So if Jane can drain a 10-footer to win the U.S. Open and stare down Hulk Hogan in the boardroom, you want Jane on your real estate team to not only negotiate the best deal, but find you the perfect home or investment property. And when you work with the Geddes Gordon Group, you become part of the real estate family and get concierge services that include expertly staging, marketing, and preparing your home for sale. Advice on golf properties. Hey, you might even get some golf tips. Many of their clients become friends long after the sale or purchase is completed. It's all part of the deal. So if you're looking for that perfect home or investment property or trying to get top dollar for your home, go with Jane Geddes and the Geddes Gordon Group because there's nobody like Jane. Call 813-485-6808 or go to GeddesGordon.kw.com. That's GEDDES Gordon.kw.com. or call 813-485-6808.
Let's go! Right now, back to the show with JP on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show, brought to you by the great folks at Italiano Insurance. They will do all the shopping for you. You will save all the money. 813-877-7799. Save me $1,000 on my insurance, my auto insurance, just over 6 months. So let them do it, folks. There's a lot of folks, a lot of different companies coming in the market as far as homeowners insurance goes. So if your homeowners insurance has spiked, let them shop it around. Get with a new company that will save you some dollars and maybe give you better coverage as well. 813-877-7799. Let them shop it. You save the money. Italiano Insurance. All right, let's welcome
insurance that you keep talking about. Is this something I should look into? This word insurance.
Yes, I think you should. You know, they have tornadoes there in Dallas. You know,
oh my God, dude.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, it might lose your home, Dorothy.
Damn it. I'll just go get a new one.
There you go. Well, or go pick it up in over in San Antonio.
Yeah, right down the road, wherever it lands.
Yeah, wherever it lands. That's your property now. Or get insurance. Either one.
Finders keepers.
One of those will work. One of those will work for you. All right, let's welcome in our good friend Anthony Beck, head coach of the St. Louis Battlehawks of the UFL now, right? Is that it? And the proud papa of Rocco Beck of Iowa State. You've had a hell of a year, my friend. Things are going well in the Beck household. Congratulations. Happy New Year.
I appreciate it. Yeah, no, it's it's been a good year for us football wise. Iowa State, Rocco's success and his journey, and then of course just ramping up our season. We're getting ready to kick off with the merger. Training camp starts February 19th, and the season kicks off March 30th. So a lot going on. Finishing up the details of the roster, building my schedule.
Yeah,
good times, man.
Well, you want to go UFL first or talk about Rocco? Big 12 Rookie of the Year. Let's talk about Rocco because that gets your big smile going. What an awesome season! Liberty Bowl, Big 12 Offensive Player of the Year, a Rookie of the Year, I guess, right? Freshman of the Year. What was the journey like this year? And I guess the Liberty Bowl, the whole thing.
Yeah, it was great. Be ready for your opportunity has always been kind of a spoken thing to anybody that I've really dealt with, and in particular for Rocco. But, just every week they began to trust him more. He earned their respect, teammates' respect. And it really all came together really at Oklahoma State game about midway through. And then that's when they started to, everyone kind of believed in like pushing forward and letting, him kind of take the reins over and per se opening things up. So just proud of his performance week to week, his poise, his intangibles, his play is, I think every player's play is predicated on preparation.
Mm-hmm.
And he knows how to prepare at that level, probably more than maybe others. And at that position, the quarterback position, there are some really talented quarterbacks that, board smart, broom smart, all that stuff. But once you prepare, once you understand, now you got to go out and do the hard stuff. That's actually go out there and execute it. And I think that was really impressive. Every snap I watch, every pass, how he, kind of understood what he was doing. And you could tell he was prepared, and what he did throughout the week showed on game day, each and every game. And those things are hard to come by, the translation part and executing it on the field and having that demeanor. Some people call it, maybe it's an it factor or whatever it may be, but he really, through his ups and downs and adversities, was able to really come back and just, believe in what he's doing and shine. So he learned a lot this year. There's no better way to get better than experience. As a redshirt freshman, he got that, and now he can build on that, man, and just, advance his per se resume of what he's doing at the position. It's been fun.
And the numbers are off the charts. You're too humble to mention them, so I will do so as the host. 64% completion percentage for a freshman. That's ridiculous. 2,700 yards in, 10 starts? Because he didn't start all the games, right? A 9-10
plus the bowl game put him over, 3,100. I think he's one of 5 Big 12 quarterbacks all time that as a freshman to get over 3,000 yards. So.
Yeah, and 143.6 rating, 20 touchdowns, 9 interceptions in the regular season. I mean, those are off the charts numbers they suggest a very mature quarterback that's not making a whole lot of mistakes. I mean, normally you don't see those ratios. So that's good coaching. Papa coached him up good in high school and got him ready. And he gets a lot of other good instruction too, right? From some of your buddies.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, listen, his staff is phenomenal. They've been, they do a lot of everything they kind of do. He's under center, he's in pistol, he's in shotgun. Like he's getting a full gamut, and they really derive a lot of their stuff from, some of the Rams stuff and some of the things that 49, so they're very good, and they use, multiple tight ends. They go 5 wides. He's getting exactly what you want to get as a quarterback, and they're teaching him the right things. And, again, that's what you want. I mean, it's right now they're doing a really good job, and that trust level's at an all-time high. So now they can continue to expand and open that up years to come.
Anthony Beck joining us here, Papa of Rocco. And now we move on to the Battlehawks. The UFL is merged now, or it's actually now called the UFL. The Rock is running it. You're the St. Louis Battlehawks head coach. What is this spring league gonna look like now as these two combine? Obviously, the talent level goes up, the organization goes up. Give us a preview.
100%. I mean, now all the best players from both leagues, because of the fact that half of our teams were eliminated to build these 8-team UFL. Now those players combine and blend in. We had drafts for those guys, and And right now in the process of persuading or recruiting free agents out there that are potentially practice squad futures contract guys to come with us, sell how that can be a benefit to rather not do that and come play in our league. But everything's intact. A lot of our core players are back. We really added some really strong players from other teams that we really love that, did well against us, number one, but also overall in the league. So really excited about our roster. On paper, it looks really good. We got to go out and do it, but ramping up some meetings, Zoom meetings, offensive players, defensive players. So, kind of getting things kind of going and building for what we got coming up in February.
It should be fun. I'm guessing you watched the Bucs dismantle the Eagles the other night. K. Dotton certainly put on a show at tight end, although 8 catches, I think was a record for a Buccaneers tight end, and we all know he should have had at least 10 or 11 and another tutty. We want more, right? But hell of a performance by Cade, and I thought without question Todd Bowles' best performance ever. He coached one hell of a game, came up with some great schemes. The offense did their job. I mean, that was fun to watch. That was the best performance I've seen in quite some time, from maybe going back to the Super Bowl performance. It's awesome.
Yeah, I think Todd makes you remember, how good he really is as just execution of, scheme to player execution. Those guys really, and he's got really good guys at each level that can really moderate that and spread that to the other players. But man, I mean, I did pick the Buccaneers. I do a little pick thing. I did pick the Buccaneers to win outright against the Eagles. I really felt like they had that. And this week, I think it's a little tougher challenge. Very similar teams as far as mentality, attitude, chip on the shoulder type guys.
Yeah.
A much different matchup. Atmosphere is different. I really think the Bucs will. I think they can keep it close. I really do. And it'd be an extraordinary effort from all quarters by all players to really, surmount and win the game. I don't think they'll win it, but man, I think they'll make it interesting. But just really love what they're doing. I mean, you're talking about maximizing and overachieving at a lot of positions and guys and getting the most out of it. And you talk about just kind of what the future can bring as far as what the money they have to spend and things of that nature. It's promising. So, you go from a team that maybe, you're thinking about just rebuilding and crushing everything to all of a sudden like, okay, it kind of came together, offensive coordinator, things looking good. Baker really kind of, I think, exceeded everybody's expectations, and happy for him. I've always been critical of him early in his career, but he really has grown to understand who he is and what he can do. And he can do a lot if he's on his game. And that obviously showed in that game.
Yeah, when he's healthy, and you could tell earlier in the game, he was spry. I mean, that ankle looked good. I was concerned because he could barely walk in the Carolina game. But that extra day or whatever they did with his physio and everything, they did it right. He looked good. And when he's right and moving well, he plays well. And I think more than anything, this team has grown organically, right? I think they had a lot of questions about, and as a coach, you can talk to this. You don't know what your guys can do, right? Especially rookies, you don't know if you can trust them. You got to find the way. And then you find out, sometimes by accident, what they do best and what works best. And then you put them in those positions. Getting Devin White off the field helps them. Getting KJ Britt on the field, especially against the run, helps them. Getting Yaya Diaby more snaps obviously helps them. They've kind of figured out their personnel. And I think Todd's figured out we suck at zone. We're not going to play any zone. We're just going to get after the quarterback and play man behind it. And whatever happens, happens. If I'm going to go down, I'm going to go down with doing what we do best. So I think organically, and Dave Canales being more comfortable in his play calling and figuring out what guys can do, this team is just hitting its stride right now because of all those factors. Is that fair?
It is. They benefited from, I don't want to say a weak division. It was overall weak statistically, but weak. They were given a chance to grow.
Yeah, exactly.
Because of it. And now they're actually a scary team to play. So, where in other divisions, it wouldn't have mattered. You would have never seen that growth. So it is a true visual of what the growth can be. And I always had having a lot of conversations with Todd over the years, just talking to him about, his defense and like players. And I'm like, oh, hey, this year you're going to lose this guy. He's like, you know what, man? He's like, find me a player that can play the position and I can get him to understand and teach him and grow quickly. And he really believes in himself and what he's doing and how he delivers it. And you're right, that shows, with the Rutgers safety, all these guys that I was looking at, like, oh, they're probably going to get cut and be on my league. They've grown to show that they plugged and played really prominent roles for this defense. So that's one thing I've always taken from Todd, that he told me that's hard for a lot of coaches. Like, they need a really good player to come in to fill the void, or, you lose Jordan Whitehead. Well, that's okay. Jordan was a great player, but we can find a guy that maybe nobody knows. We'll get him right. You find me the talent and I'll make it work. So he's very good at that. And that is a kind of what you just said, how they were able to get the extra time because of the weak division, still come out on top. And now they're peaking really at the right time. And they got experience and confidence in these situations. There are players on the team, obviously, that have a ring, and they know. So they're in the show. They know what it's going to take from a delivery standpoint, from a preparation standpoint, what they learned from Brady. All that stuff now can be delivered by more players because they've been in that role and experience and been there before.
So from a coaching standpoint, I always find this interesting because I've seen Todd do this at times, is that, and I think it's especially pertinent this week. So you blitz the hell out of the Eagles, and clearly they were having trouble they didn't have an answer. It didn't look like they had a lot of hot routes. They kind of, hung Jalen Hurts out to dry a little bit, in my opinion. And they didn't have any answers. So that game plan that he came up was super brilliant, and it worked well. Jared Goff is accurate. He's got great receivers who can beat you one-on-one. So what you did last week may not necessarily work as well, but it's still what you do best. So I guess the question is, do you play to your strengths or try to hide your weaknesses as a coach? And is that always the fine line as a coach you got to walk? Like, I know I'm going to get burned a couple times, but you know what? To beat this Lions team, I got to get 2 turnovers and maybe a sack fumble. And Jared Goff, if you pressure him, will do that. He'll burn me a little bit because he's a better passer and he's smarter. But so is there a fine line on the coach where what you do there?
Well, I think Todd, just from his standpoint, he'll trust his players, and he'll, whatever that may be from an assignment standpoint, he'll do it. Now, you're right. Jared Goff is a different animal. They will have answers for blitz packages. Okay. He will be able to deliver a ball, in those windows when things come, and he'll have answers pre-snap. So one, pressuring in the right moment. I think that you'll amp up the pressures in those +8 situations against Goff, because clearly he's going to need the time for the guys to get where they need to be. And the hot routes necessarily aren't going to get you the first down that you need sometimes, because the guy's going to be there. So now that pressure can work if it's magnified and worked correctly. And Goff, it can be a problem for any quarterback, let alone Goff. The shorter third downs is the issues come, where he will be able to have those plans. He does distribute the ball to multiple players. They do have a tight end that ultimately is that's a dangerous piece. You saw it with K-Dot and how that can be. Well, again, that this guy's a legit, like he may be the next kind of Gronk kind of player, and they utilize him well. And they got a scary back that, when put in certain situations, can catch the ball and make people miss in space. So they will have answers. It's going to be a supreme. I think it's going to fall more on, can the offense deliver versus their defense? Because I don't know. I think Aaron Glenn's done a hell of a job. He's probably going to get, former teammate of mine. He's probably going to get an opportunity to go be a head coach as well as their coordinator. And hopefully those things are distractions for them as they interview in this process, because that can very well happen. But with that being said, they do have some holes. I think that there are some spots. You got to handle the pass rush. They do believe they can trust in their defensive line. So you're going to have more guys in coverage. But, the Bucs have answers. They have guys that they can get the ball. If Baker's on it and he's able to kind of be free on a couple of those 4-man rushes and be able to extend on some things and be accurate on those moments, they have a chance to keep it close. And ultimately in the fourth quarter, can you deliver?
All right, last question, because you played GM and head coach. What can you say about the job that Jason Light did this year with the draft class and the undrafted free agents? Talk about Christian Izzian and some of these other guys that are playing huge roles for this team.
I mean, listen, like I said, I think, the best coaches get the most out of what they get. Sometimes people don't know guys' names and they're like, oh, hell, what are we doing? We could have got this guy or that guy.
Right.
And I think, as you look at it, it was a successful year for them. I mean, the Pittsburgh kid has been phenomenal. I mean,
I can't see. Yeah.
You got to hit on those dudes, right? So, you don't have to hit on them all, and make sure the ones that you do pick, they actually show up. And if they do, then you're hitting a home run. So you can't be really too hard. So I give Jason, props on, if you can get one right and he's making a big difference, then hell, you're good. So, and the quarterback situation obviously was a complete coin flip, right? Because you hope for the best. You had a competition. Even when the guy that stood out and won it, you're not real sure. And that kid ultimately delivered. So, you got to give a lot of credit to Baker and really the way they harnessed his abilities and what he can do well. And, consistently, I just felt like he played really good. I mean, his numbers speak for – if you tore off the name and you put numbers of guys, you would not think like, oh, that was Baker's season. Like, that's pretty damn good years. So, do they have something long-term with him? I don't know. But, man, 3-year gap –
that'll be fine.
Tremendous. Exactly. And what that contract looks like. I mean, again, you may not like the numbers, but he's earned the right to look at some of those areas where, guys get those 3-year guaranteed contracts and what that can be. And
75, 3 years, 75 guaranteed, 100, somewhere in there.
Exactly.
He'll leave money on the table because he's smart, right?
He can sleep on that knowing he's going to go out there and earn it, right?
Damn right.
He's one of them dudes. Like, I mean, the fact that he's playing – I mean, he may have looked like he didn't look like terribly hurt, but I'm sure he was battling whatever it is, man. He's got the mentals, and he's going to fight through stuff. That resonates when you're going through contract time and stuff like that. And I think he's won over a lot of players and coaches and personnel guys because of it.
All right, Anthony, thanks so much for jumping on. I really appreciate it. Always good to talk to you. Congrats to you and Rocco and the family. It's awesome stuff. Got anything to promote? Anything at all you want to promote?
I mean, listen, just by the fact that we're going to be on the major networks, you're going to have to flip through our games and, who's playing? So the team that's blue and you see a big ass on the sideline, that's me.
Big head.
What do you have to stay on it for like 20 minutes to actually make it count towards the rating? So just give us.
Watch you. I'll watch you. I ain't watching anything else, but I'll watch you for sure.
I appreciate you, man.
I'll be out playing golf most of the time, but
week one,
I'll watch
March 30th. Week 1 for our league is March 30th.
All right, cool. We'll be who's your quarterback? You know yet?
We'd like to have them all back. We had AJ McCarron, Nick Tiano, and Manny Wilkins. We're working on that stuff. We'll make those announcements, but we feel good about what we got. So,
all right, good luck, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, we'll take another quick break here. We're going to get to the great comments, guys. Sorry, we've kind of ignored you a little bit there today. We'll get to your comments next. Just reminding you, the Golden Diamond Source Valentine's Day is coming up, kids. They got a great selection there of all the shiny stuff. And if you want to spend some of that, that's right. Don't forget that, Tim. Good God.
I got to pick between one of them, like 8 women.
No, you don't. You got to get them all something at the Golden Diamond Store. You shop online, thegoldendiamondstores.com, bro. Tell them JP sent you.
I will.
They got all the after Christmas stuff on sale right now. Tons of great discounts, great inventory, and, of course, the best staff out there. Just head on in there. If you don't know squat what to get, which is always my problem, just go in there and say, hey, I got $500, $1,000 I want to spend. My girl likes stuff shiny. They'll show you a bunch of stuff in your budget. They'll get you something really nice, wrap it up nice so you don't just give it to her, in a paper bag like you usually do, Tim.
There you go.
Yeah. Yeah. They take care of you. You knuckleheads, you knuckle trackers out there, they'll take care of you. That's the good part about it. The staff will do it all for you. She'll think you got some kind of heart that you grew.
Well, I fooled her.
That's right. So you can do that. The Golden Diamond Source, 3800 Olmerton Road, or online at thegoldendiamondsource.com. Back in 3. Stay with us.
Well, Fitz the mortgage guy did it again. A listener heard his ad, was going to another big bank, but called Scott Fitzgerald at American Mortgage Services of Tampa, and Fitz saved him $618 on his monthly payment. Are you kidding me? Folks, that's big money. Rates are going up, they're going down, they're going all over the place. Scott will shop your loan and save you lender fees and get the best rates. Email him, scott@amstampa.com, or call 813-294-7595. That's Fitz the mortgage guy. Lots of stuff going on right now, and these rates are going all over the place. You need somebody knowledgeable in the market that will work hard for you and get you the best deal. That's my man, Scott. He's done 3 loans for me, done thousands of loans for local folks here, works with a lot of the coaches and players in the area. He's the guy. 813-294-7595, or go to scott@amstampa.com.
JP here for the Geddes Gordon Real Estate Group and our good friend Jane Geddes. Folks, simply put, there is nobody like Jane.
Jane is a former LPGA two-time major championship winner. She was also vice president of talent relations at WWE. She also has a law degree from Stetson. So if Jane can drain a 10-footer to win the U.S. Open and stare down Hulk Hogan in the boardroom, you want Jane on your real estate team to not only negotiate the best deal, but find you the perfect home or investment property. And when you work with the Geddes Gordon Group, you become part of the real estate family and get concierge services that include expertly staging, marketing, and preparing your home for sale. Advice on golf properties. Hey, you might even get some golf tips. Many of their clients become friends long after the sale or purchase is completed. It's all part of the deal. So if you're looking for that perfect home or investment property or trying to get top dollar for your home, go with Jane Geddes and the Geddes Gordon Group because there's nobody like Jane. Call 813-485-6808 or go to geddesgordon.kw.com. That's GEDDES Gordon.kw.com or call 813-485-6808. Are you tired of those stuffy, overpriced sports bars? Well, come join the fun at the Patio in South Tampa and watch your favorite football teams under the stars in a tropical paradise. Yeah, it's a unique setting with huge wood decks beneath the trees, and don't worry, they have an inside AC bar with all your favorite bar games as well. The Patio has all the NFL and UFC sports packages, and it's home to the Tampa Gator Club and Bills Mafia, but all fans are welcome at any time. Hey, my FSU buddies love to watch the Noles at the Patio. It's also home to a great happy hour. Weekdays get $4 White Claw vodka drinks and $4 White Claw seltzers, $1 off all beer and wine from 3 to 7:30. And every Friday happy hour, join us for Football Friday. It's our live broadcast from 5 to 7 with tons of specials and the fan mic for you to join the show. We'll have swag and ticket giveaways as well. So come out for the live broadcast 5 to 7 every Friday at the Patio and come watch football in a tropical paradise all season long. It's 421 South McDill, just a few blocks south of Kennedy. Everyone meets at the Patio.
Coming back at you. Now, more with JP on FanStream Sports. It's only just begun.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show. By the way, we got some Bucs fans. My good friend Stuart is heading up to the Detroit area. The 313 for the game wants to know if there's any good Bucs tailgates going to be going on. So if you got a good Bucs tailgate or a Bucs tailgate at all in Detroit, I don't imagine there'll be a lot of Bucs fans going up for that. Just because the weather, by the way, is so cold. You don't want to be sitting out in the cold the whole time.
Yeah, how's Baker? Is he going to wear gloves? Think he's going to wear gloves?
Yeah. Hope they have heaters on the bench, too. It's 13 degrees outside. Woo, my goodness.
Oh, my God.
Not only that, like, there was the Silver Dome, too. Like, the Lions haven't played outside since, like, 1942. It's been a while.
Exactly. It's I don't know, man. But it's funny, but she doesn't deserve all the crap. Whoever she is. You know, she made a mistake. Remind me one day I have the audio somewhere. Remind me to play the audio of my question covering speaking of the XFL, the Arlington at the time Dallas Renegades.
Yes.
That I asked of Bob Stoops because I was late getting into the press room.
Right.
And apparently, I thought it was a really badass question, but apparently he had literally just answered it right before I walked in.
Yeah, that's
when
you have to always preface by, hey, sorry, I got here late. If you answer this question, I apologize. You always have to preface that. If you come in late, yeah, that's the thing. You can't ask a question unless you preface it that way. Right.
He called me out of me. He's like, oh, are you the one that just walked in? Because I just answered that question. But he was good, man. He answered it again. To his credit, he was cool about it, but kind of like a backhanded, like, dude, just pay attention.
I'm trying to think of the dumb. I'm sure I've asked him. It's just more my bad memory right now. I got CRS. But I've asked him about it. I've asked him where where your ears start getting hot, and you're red, your face turns red. You're like, oh.
You just feel everyone staring at you and judging you right at that moment.
Like Torts was brutal. Torts did not play. Like if you ask something, you better come with your A game every day with Torts, or you will get embarrassed. He will embarrass you. Yeah. Like if you, I think I asked him one time about a guy that got injured the night before, and I didn't know it. And and even that, because that can happen. You never know. The guy goes off the ice, if he's hurt or not, or if you're going to be able to, because these guys, freaking hockey players,
take 75 stitches in the eye and they come right back out the next period. You never know.
Yeah.
But he's like, did you not see the game? Did you not see the game? Did you see the puck he took in the ankle? You think he's going to be on the ice today? Really? You idiot. Sorry, coach.
Sorry, coach.
And I love Torts.
Time, I promise.
Yeah, like Torts, he was the best. He's so funny. He's like a totally different person at a press conference than he is,
Oh, sure. And what's funny is at the very after the next game, I was at the presser, obviously, and I'm pretty recognizable, right? Like, Stoops knows who I am, from seeing me. So the next game, I didn't have a question, but I was in the press room, and I was I'm always off to the left side there in the room there at the stadium, and that's the way he walks out when he's done. So I was kind of standing there, and I just made eye contact with him. He's like, "What? No questions today, lateness?"
Lateness. I love it. I love it.
Sorry, coach.
I love it. Oh, by the way, for you vodka and John Daly fans,
always
something for you. Good Boy Vodka, which we've talked about before on this show. Great new vodka. They are partnering with John Daly. John Daly's a partner in the company, and they're introducing the Good Boy Vodka and their vodka cocktails, the John Daly cocktails, to the Tampa area today at Walk-Ons Midtown. Walk-On Midtowns from 6 to 8. John Daly will be there, and the golfing Santa Claus will be there. And they'll have Good Boy vodkas. Every pour helps a pup, as Valor service dogs will be receiving a portion of the proceeds along with some other special stuff going on. So head on out to Walk-On's Sports Bistro and try the Good Boy vodka. We've had it. It's fantastic. And they have the Good Boy cocktails, John Daly cocktails, really, really good stuff. So very smooth vodka, very Tito's-esque, I would say. Yeah, better than Tito's, honestly. Very good vodka. And much better price point too. So
Tito's is huge here in Texas, as you can imagine, being distilled down in Austin. So
of course, But this Good Boy vodka is really, really good.
I'll have to try it. Anything John Daly's into, man, I'm trying it.
Yeah, so head on out, see John Daly, one of the best of the best. Goes from 6 to 8, but if I know John Daly, it'll go much longer than that.
Probably be there earlier too, enjoying one of his cocktails.
Yeah, so bring some stuff if you want him to autograph it, all that fun stuff. It's at the Walk-On Bistro at Midtown. Great bar, by the way. Great food. If you've not been to a Walk-On's, their food is fantastic. Really got that New Orleans flavor to it. Shrimp and grits, really, really good.
I love shrimp and grits.
Yeah, their food is good. It's not like regular sports bar. They're really, really good. Yeah. So head on out to Walk-On's and get you some of that Good Boy vodka and John Daly cocktails. All right. We got some other good sound I want to get to. Let's keep it in the Bucs family. And we got Tristan Wirfs here talking about Baker Mayfield and going up against the Detroit Lions front group, including Aiden Hutchinson, who we rush it up.
Absolutely. I mean, this time of year, I think I said to you too. Everyone, there's good rushers all across the league, all across the front. Playoffs is no different. Playoffs is just heightened. You get down to the nitty gritty, the best of the best. So, having an opportunity to come out and against another great defensive line is going to be a lot of fun. I trust all five of us, all the guys in our room. We come out and fight our balls off. So that's what we're going to do again.
You don't want to fight your balls off.
Fight our balls off.
Yeah, they're gonna. Yeah, Tristan's taken a bigger leadership role in his team, and I love it. He's the guy. He's the guy. He's super authentic. He's a badass. He's just, he's the perfect guy to step up and become a little bit more vocal, and they need that in this room. And it's his time. It's his time. He's an all-pro. He's the best of the best. He's very, very affable, super smart, and he's a freaking beast. And I love his demeanor, the way he talks. He drops F-bombs. It says fight their balls off, all that good stuff. So love it. Very much in the
Campbell in him.
Yeah. And speaking of Dan Campbell was asked about Baker Mayfield, and unlike his safety, who had to throw him under the bus, Dan had some very complimentary things to say about Baker Mayfield.
Look, I've always been a Baker fan from afar. I loved him when he was coming out. I tell this story. This to me said a lot about him. And I went and worked Blake Andrews out when he was coming out of OU. They came out the same year, tight end. And so I went out there. Well, his quarterback, it's cold, but he comes out there. I think he's got like flip-flops on. It's Baker. Baker's going to throw for him. Well, Baker threw for every one of his guys that was coming out that year, and I think he'd already had 2 private workouts the 2 days prior, and he had one that afternoon, and I think the one the next day. So that just says a lot about the guy. There's no wonder why people rally around him and follow him, because he's that type of teammate, right? I mean, there's a lot of guys who wouldn't do that. Well, I got to save my arm. I've got so-and-so club coming in. That wasn't him. So, you can respect stuff like that now.
Yeah, we hear these stories all the time about Baker, and it's just the guy that he is, and hangs out with the offensive linemen, been doing that since the off season. He's and he's authentic. It's not like he's trying to kiss ass and do things. He's just not. That's just who he is, and his team has rallied around him. It's a great story. I think the national media is coming around to it. A lot of the national media, like Colin Cowherd, have been. That's why they trashed the Bucs early on. Oh, Baker's never going to do this. He's not going to do this. And if you went and looked at the tape and looked at the situations where Baker has thrived, nobody's sitting here saying that he's Patrick Mahomes. He's not. But he's not. He's a tier below, and that ain't too bad. And you can win with that in this league. No question about it. So it's going to be fun to watch him perform this week indoors against the Lions team that just ate him up. He had his worst game of the year. I think his quarterback rating was like 17 against the Lions. Wow. I'm going to go back and look at that tape a little bit more to find out exactly what was going on, but it was not good. But it was early in the season, and it's just a time when this team had just not, gelled yet. So I think it's going to be a very different football game, much like the Eagles game was way different from the first game. As Todd said, they are a completely different team than they were earlier in the year. And that goes to, not only through personnel, but through and I think the Bucs are evolving. David Moore, and I said this, weeks ago when he made that big catch and run. I think it was against the Jags. I'm not exactly sure, but this is a guy that we thought was going to play a much more prominent role the entire year. And he needs to play a better role because every time he catches the football and runs with it, he scores. I mean, he's really, really good after the catch. He's fast. He's rugged. He's kind of he's thick. I love the way the guy plays, and I really like to see him get 3 to 5 touches in this game because he's tough to tackle, and it's not like the Detroit secondary is the best in the league.
Yeah, there's going to be opportunities against that secondary for sure.
Yeah, I want to get to some of the comments here because our great commenters, we always love you guys jumping in here. TJC22 says his private throwing sessions left some scouts with their jaws on the floor, but it's when he hit the whiteboard, he won everyone over, talking about Baker Mayfield. Yeah, and that's, it's the reason why the guy went number one. It's not just because, he had a good year at Oklahoma and won the Heisman Trophy. That it doesn't mean squat to a lot of these scouts, and it shouldn't, Well, the good year should. You should be looking at the tape and see how he goes through his progressions. But, yeah.
And it's funny you say he's no Patrick Mahomes. Well, of course, no one else is, but because he doesn't have the natural ability and talent that Patrick Mahomes does. But what Baker does have is Patrick Mahomes' drive and want to win. Yeah. He's got that same in him that Patrick does. And that's part of what makes him successful. He's able to overcome a lot of his physical deficiencies just from sheer willpower sometimes.
Yeah, I agree.
That's a good trait to have,
Matt Filer was still at left guard, and the Bucs were still trying to do the zone blocking thing. Yeah, talk about different. Great point, Nathan Elliott. It was a much different offensive team at that particular time. They wanted to be a power running football team with Matt Filer, and yeah, it was just you're just not at this point. And I think in order to be a power running football team, you got to have a dominant center. I think a big dominant Ryan Jensen type center, and
not everybody has that either.
No, Robert Hainsey is barely adequate, and he's not big, and he doesn't push people. But at this point, they have good chemistry, good enough. But that's definitely something they're going to be looking to upgrade that position, no question about it. Lucas Pettis, welcome to the show. I haven't seen you before commenting, but thank you. People think we got no chance to win this game. Yeah, I mean, think about it. We were 3-point underdogs to Philadelphia, and we're 6.5-point underdogs to the Lions.
Yeah.
I think I guessed 5.5. I think it said 5.5, 6.5 on the post-game show. So we were right there, but I still think that's way too many. But I don't know. I think it goes up or goes down. I think the smart money comes in on the Bucs.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I don't think the line matters in this game, and it really doesn't, because that's not what lines aren't based on who the bet makers think are going to win the game. They're placing the lines on who they want you to bet on. They're trying to steer your bet. So that really doesn't
get it evened out. Right.
Yeah, that shouldn't factor into that. But here's the deal with the lines that a lot of people aren't talking about that I think is important to think about is they may very well have played their Super Bowl last week.
Right.
All of the emotion tied to their first playoff game at home and all the hoopla around Stafford and Goff and all of that crap. Dude, that was an emotional game for all of the players and the fans. There is a huge opportunity now going into the divisional round against the Bucs for a letdown game for the Lions.
Huge.
They're emotionally exhausted because of just all of that around the game last week and what they accomplished for the first time. So everybody's heard it since 92 or whatever.
Yeah.
And there's a huge opportunity for the Bucs to take advantage of that, and I think they can.
Yeah, Dan Campbell is a hell of a motivator. And I think, you remember when he got the job?
His introductory press conference?
We all thought, what a buffoon. What a
Biting the
clown.
kneecaps.
What a clown this guy is, biting the kneecaps. And, of course, there was the usual refrain from a lot of the ESPN people at the time. They won't hire a white guy, racist people. And it's like, the GM, black guy, by the way, Ron Holmes. Anyway.
Right.
Yeah, he's just another retread guy. Not, he's done pretty good. I think he's done all right. I haven't seen any retractions on that. By the way,
I was one of those guys too, making fun of him on our show. We played it, and I was all over it.
I thought it was a bit crazy, but I liked his fire.
Yeah.
I liked his fire. And I said, that's what this team needs, man. It's what they need some emotion on this team and get them fired up. And it's worked out for them. It really has.
Yeah.
By the way, Jared Mayo in his opening press conference, I guess somebody asked him about race or something to do with race, and he had some interesting quotes. Whether you agree with them or not, that's all everybody talked about. That's the problem when you bring up race like that in a conversation. In terms of the national media, that's all people are going to talk about. They're going to line up on one side or the other. So the entire press conference, when we should be talking about a new fresh voice for the Patriots, who's I think he's going to be a really good coach. I followed him for a while, and I think he's going to be a really, really, really good coach. But if he gets tied up in a lot of that stuff, it's going to derail him, and it's going to derail his in terms of his public perception, and that's not fair. So, and it's interesting because Todd Bowles handled that question much differently. He handled it much. In fact, he said exactly the opposite. You didn't see it. Jared Mayo said, somebody asked him about color or something. He says, the people that say I don't see color can't define racism, can't see racism. If you're saying you don't see color, then you can't see racism. And Todd Bowles said exactly the opposite. He said, I don't see color, and I don't talk about it, and I wish people wouldn't talk about it because it doesn't matter. And everybody has their own opinions. I don't think one's right or one's wrong, but everybody has their own opinions on that, right? You can, I have an opinion on it. I just happen to not. I don't want to see color. I don't ever want to talk about it. I certainly recognize that there's racism in this world, and it works a lot of different ways these days. But I think it's just better, on this Martin Luther King week, that we stay true to what he says by the content of your character, not the color of your skin. That's how we should judge people. And that should always be, in my mind. I think Martin Luther King got that right and a lot of things right. And it seems that hasn't resonated like it should in a lot of different ways. But it's just interesting to see with Jared Mayo that completely derailed everything else he was talking about when you're talking about replacing a legend, Bill Belichick, which, by the way, is getting a second interview with the Falcons. I said he was going to the Falcons, even before the Dallas Cowboys said we're going to stick with McCarthy, because I said it. I said Jerry Jones is not giving up that control to Bill Belichick. It's not going to happen. But Arthur Blank will. He'll say, take the whole damn thing, go do what you got to do.
Arthur Blank loves him a circus.
Yes, he does. He wants attention. Arthur Blank does not want to be irrelevant, and his Falcons have been irrelevant since they blew a 28-3 lead in the Super Bowl. So He is craving relevance. He is craving the spotlight, and he knows he can get it with Bill Belichick. Whether it's good or bad, people are going to be talking about the Atlanta Falcons. People are going to be talking about the Atlanta Falcons. Now, you can go hire Dion, and you get the same thing. But if you hire Bill Belichick, you probably get a guy with a little bit more experience in the professional ranks.
Sure.
So, and I don't, there's talk of Dion going to the NFL with his Shedeur Sanders. I think Robert Griffin went off the other day. I don't see that.
No,
I just don't see his thing working in the NFL.
I'll tell you something else, working for CowboysSI.com, for the last several years, we're very close to Dion. And, he still has a house here and then is in town quite often. And we get some one-on-ones with him quite a bit. He is on record with us, and we've written about it several times over the last 2 years or so. He has zero interest in coaching in the NFL. He wants no part of it.
Exactly.
Now, does that mean that, a big bag of money won't change his mind? Well, everybody can change their mind. But right now, I don't care if his son's playing quarterback for Atlanta or whoever it is who drafts them. I don't think I believe him. I don't think he's interested in the NFL.
I don't either. I think he works so much better in college, influencing young minds like that. They flock to Dion. And the NIL and the transfer portal, that is absolutely right in his wheelhouse.
That is his game. Yeah.
That is his game, man. And he'll be great at it. He's already been great at it with the talent he's attracted, and he'll figure out the coaching part. He'll get that. He'll figure it out. He's too competitive not to. So he'll figure it out. And he made a lot of mistakes last year. My problem with Dion is he's not as self-aware publicly as probably he needs to be. He just, he'll never be humble. He just won't. He can't. It's not part of his. Yeah, it's just not who he is. But he needs to be in order to learn how to be a good coach. You got to be self-aware and understand where your mistakes are to be better. You can't be ripping your offensive line in public all the time the way he did it. I think you hold players accountable, but you got there's a way to do it, and I don't know if he did it the right way. So, but I as far as this coaching carousel go, I think Belichick is destined for Atlanta. I'm going to go see what kind of odds. It's probably gone way down, but I think you can make some money on that deal.
I think Belichick ends up at Atlanta. I still think Harbaugh ends up with the Chargers.
I do too. He's coached in San Diego before. He can do the West. He likes the West Coast. He's got a great young quarterback to work with. He's got a really good roster. That just seems ready-made for him.
And I think him just showing up adds 2 wins to their win total.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to do anything else but show up and coach like he does.
Yeah. I think that's you got the quarterback man. And to Belichick, if you're a Bucs fan, dream come true. He doesn't have a quarterback. The offense is pretty much in disarray. Got a good defense, so it's going to be good anyway. That was a top 10 defense anyway. So they're going to be good defensively. But offensively, he has no clue. So as a competitor, how about it? Yeah. I'm not scared of Bill Belichick. Would you be in this situation?
No.
All right, we need to take one more break. Let's take one more break. We'll come back. I got a couple Bolts notes for you. We got to play the Texas coach.
Yeah.
The thin-skinned
Rodney
Terry. Rodney Terry making news for all the wrong reasons. We're brought to you by Synovus Bank, the big bank with a very local feel. Folks, go on in there and see what I'm talking about. They will make you feel like you're the most important business, the most important customer, and they do that with great personal attention. John Acosta, good friend of mine, good friend of the program, been in local banking since 1983. It's a long time. You build relationships. That's why he's been in banking for so long, because people trust him, and you can trust the great folks, the local folks at Synovus Bank, a big bank with a local bank feel. Synovus.com. Back in 3.
All right, this is for all you guys who don't want to go to the gym and do 5,000 crunches. At Bay Area Modern Medical Center, you can get on the new True Body machine where you can reduce fat and tone up your muscle. It's like doing 54,000 crunches in just 15 minutes. Define your body as you see fit. True Body offers personalized muscle stimulation that delivers the equivalent of those 54,000 crunches in just 15 minutes. Just get in touch with them at Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com. Chris Lugo and the team over there will set you up on True Body and get amazing results. Non-invasive with comfortable and little to no pain and zero downtime. You can isolate and target those areas that you want to improve and treat multiple areas simultaneously. It's an amazing machine, so check it out at Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com.
Hey, the holidays are almost here, so take advantage of our layaway offer at the Gold and Diamond Source. Reserve your favorite piece now and pay in easy installments, making your holiday shopping stress-free. And engagement season is here as well, and we've got the largest selection of engagement rings, so visit us to find that perfect ring for that special moment. Looking for financing options? How big a ring can you get when we give you 3 to 5 years interest-free financing to make your dream jewelry more affordable? So this November, make sure you choose the Gold and Diamond Source for jewelry that's always stylish and unique, because your special someone deserves something to be thankful for, right? Find the perfect gift at the Gold and Diamond Source. Don't settle for factory-made imitations, folks. Make sure it's a Gold and Diamond Source diamond for a truly special piece of jewelry. It's the best folks in the world, Julie and Steve Weintraub at the Gold and Diamond Source, 4800 Ulmerton Road, always online at thegoldendiamondsource.com.
JP here for my good friends at Italiano Insurance, and they did it again. Once again, Italiano Insurance stepping up with the best customer service. I was in a bind. My old insurance company, my auto insurance, jacked up my rate, so I called Charity at Italiano Insurance, and she stayed till 9:30 at night until she got my insurance done. And guess what? She searched all these companies for me. I didn't do the work. She did. Saved me $1,000 on my annual premium. $1,000, folks. That's real money. And that's what you get at Italiano Insurance. Great customer service. And here's another note for you, by the way, with hurricane season up. 40% of people in Florida are underinsured. That means if you have something happen during a hurricane and you need replacement costs, you're going to get 40% less than you deserve. Can't let that happen. Call the folks at Italiano Insurance and get them to help you out in both those regards. It will save you money and keep you insured properly. That's 813-877-7799. Great folks in the community, been doing it for over 60 years. Italiano Insurance, 813-877-7799.
Coming back at you. Now, more with JP on FanStream Sports. It's only just begun.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show as we heading down the finish line here. Wanted to get to some more of your great comments as IndyCar Tim Ham joining us from our DSP studio. Don't forget to like our FanStream Sports and subscribe FanStream Sports YouTube and our podcast and all that stuff. We appreciate you guys. Want to get those numbers up so we can continue to bring you the great coverage that we have here. James wanted to remind me you need to see the A.K. Shipley segment on McAfee. Yeah, we watched that, and he repeated everything we said on Tuesday. Yeah, he broke it down, did a great job. 6-man front, a lot of crazy different stuff. We gave you the Anthony Nelson sound bites the other day. I had a long conversation with him in the locker room about the different stuff and how it energized him. Just a great job by Todd Bowles. And James reminds us, yes, Ryan Neal screwed up the first game versus the Lions.
He's out.
Yes, we won't be seeing him anymore. That's for sure. Thank God. Some other comments here. The Bucs targeted Anzalone in the first game. Their linebacker, yeah, he's not great in coverage, but we were just so bad offensively in that game. It was no good. TJC said, can bet Ben Johnson, their OC, has a plan for the blitz. Goff was 21 of 21 when not blitzed and pressured. He was 1 of 6 when he was. Yeah, they're coming after him. They're coming after. And once again, you know, some guys handle blitz as well. Some guys don't. I don't know why you would not blitz Jared Goff. Even if he gets a couple on you, for the most part, he's susceptible. Just
so is that offensive line.
Yeah, bring it. Just bring it. All right. Yeah, Belichick is definitely going to I think he's going to the Falcons. All right. So check this out. Last night, UCF, by the way, on a tear, beat Kansas at home last week, and Texas came to Orlando yesterday and went home with a 77-71 loss. Their coach, Rodney Terry, when they got into the handshake line, because the players were doing the horns down to some of the Longhorn fans that were there that were yelling and screaming after they lost. So the players had shut up, horns down. And Rodney Terry got pissed off and started admonishing in the handshake line, telling them they were classless. That's classless by doing that. And you know, just was yelling at the UCF players. just as an aside, you don't yell at the other team's players ever. Okay. You got issues, go to the coach, go to the UCF coach and say, look, your players were doing this, blah, 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 blah. And then evidently, I guess he carried it through to the press conference as well. So here's Texas coach Rodney Terry, a little miffed at the horns down.
I'm a big believer in, you win the right way, you lose the right way. And, I always tell my guys, whether you win or lose, you win the right way. You lose the right way. You carry yourself the right way. You don't go through the handshake line or try to get into the handshake line and have about 6 or 7 guys putting the horns down. We don't do that, because when you do those kind of things, it looks very classless, and it also looks like you were just hoping to win. We never go into games trying to hope to win. We go into games expecting to win. So we don't act like that. We expect to win. We don't jump up and down like we won a national championship. We sure don't step on anyone's home court deal and act crazy and try to show them up in any way. We don't do that. So that's what I was angry about. And I was letting those guys know you don't do that. You guys won. Hey, we shake your hand, tip our hat to you, but we're not going to let you act that way in our building. You're not going to do that. You're not going to put your horns down and do all that nonsense.
Well, you know what, Rodney Terry, if you can't handle a horns down, by the way, gig 'em Aggies, horns down, all right? Freaking hate you, T. Freaking T-sips. This is why people hate you, okay? Yeah. If you can't handle a horns down in your face after you lose a game to UCF,
right?
Maybe you shouldn't be coaching. Or maybe you should just not lose the game. How about that? There you go.
Yeah, exactly. Listen, for the record, I guess this was in Texas, by the way. So they did that in Texas. They beat them on their own home floor.
Yeah.
So for the record, I agree with what Rodney said. I'm coaching my kids, and I tell them, you don't do that stuff. You don't do that. We win with class, and I agree with him in that way. But I also say you don't talk to other teams' players, and you don't. If you want to go to the coach and tell him, yeah, I don't think that's the right thing to do. But you don't yell at the other team's players. You don't admonish the other team's players. That's classless too. So that's the way I would handle it. But I would agree with. I don't want my player now. I will say this: if all those fans right there that were behind and they're all yelling at the UCF players and they're doing horns up, and you know what, you get what you got. You want to F around. We just won the game. So if they're taunting your crowd shouldn't do that either. But guess what? There's college kids. They're going to do that. So, there's sometimes where now if they're doing it during the game, I'm like, no, we don't do that during the game, guys. After the game, we celebrate. They're taunting you. I'm not going to have a huge problem with it. You guys got to. I don't want them to turtle, right?
Yeah.
But just in general, I don't like the fact that you guys are doing that. But when they're taunted, and clearly they were being taunted by the home crowd of Texas, then control your crowd, coach. How about that? But you shouldn't be talking to the other team's coaches. And to come out that thin skin, everybody in the comments is like, "Oh, wait till you get to the SEC, bro."
He's in for a treat.
You're gonna see a lot of. I'm not sure they see it a lot in the Big 12 anyway, but they're gonna.
Well, no, they banned it in the Big 12. You're not allowed to do that in the Big 12.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that wussy move.
And this was the stink when Texas was talking about coming to the SEC. I did a whole podcast on this on my Aggies podcast.
Yeah.
The SEC doesn't give a crap about your horns down, and they're not going to ban that. So you better get ready for a hot dose of horns down in every stadium you go into in the SEC.
So you don't think the SEC is going to ban that?
No, there was no chance in hell. The only reason that the Big 12 did it is because Texas ran the Big 12, and they went right about it.
That's right. That's 100% right.
People show up. Okay, well, then you know what? Y'all aren't allowed to do that anymore because you're our prodigy child over here. You're pissing them off. Don't do that anymore.
TJC said horns down and FA&M Boomer Center.
You know what? I can take it. I get it. I know why people hate Aggies. I get it.
Yeah, we've lost all those great rivalries, because of this stupid realignment. Ugh, awful.
Never.
All right,
we're getting Aggies and Longhorns back, but
that's true. That's true.
We'll see.
Yeah, we do enough realignment. Maybe we'll get back to normal. Maybe.
I miss my old Southwest Conference. I'm not going to lie.
Oh yeah, of course. I won't say I miss my old Metro Conference. I won't do that at FSU. We were in the Metro.
Metro.
We were independent in football and in the Metro before we got into the ACC. Yeah, Memphis State, Louisville. Who else was in there? Southern Miss.
Wow.
Some of these great ports of call, like Hattiesburg, Mississippi.
Oh, that's great. We need to stroll down memory lane sometime with old defunct conferences.
Yeah, good stuff. All right, big thanks to Anthony Beck, who joined us. Also, Dan Lucas, great show today. Lots of fun. Tim, great job. We appreciate you. Don't forget to go to our YouTube page, the JP Peterson Show and FanStream Sports. Like it, subscribe. We want to get our numbers up so we can continue to do this for you guys. Tell your friends about the best local show in all of Tampa Bay, 2 hours each and every day. Tampa Bay-centric stuff, the best guests, the best perspective. We love doing it for you guys, so please support us. You can go to our link tree and donate to the show if you'd like to. We'd really appreciate that to keep everything flowing so I can pay Tim and all my great people. And also on the podcast, Apple and Spotify. Thanks so much.
I need insurance, so I need more money.
You need to call Italiano is what you need to do. Thanks, guys. We'll see you tomorrow. Have a great day. Go Bolts.